Imagine standing at a crossroads in your life. Maybe it's a big career moment or a huge personal decision, or maybe it's just that kind of hazy feeling about what's coming next week. You really want a map, right? A clear path, but there isn't one. Instead, there's just this feeling, sometimes it's almost gut-wrenching, of just not knowing, and this need we have for certainty. It just clashes head on with, well, the reality of our world. It's always changing.
Oh, absolutely. It's a feeling we all know, isn't it? That discomfort. Sometimes it even becomes real fear when we face the unknown. It's fascinating because our brains, they're actually kind of hardwired to dislike uncertainty. It's a leftover thing, really, from our ancient ancestors. For them, predictability wasn't just nice. It was survival, knowing where the food was, where the dangers were.
Exactly, survival. And that ancient wiring, it's still switched on inside us. But here's where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit unexpected. What if this feeling, this not knowing, what if it isn't actually a weakness or something we just have to put up with? What if it's actually like a hidden trigger for real growth? Maybe even a path to feeling, genuinely peaceful.
And what if embracing it is the key? The key to unlocking a life that feels, well, not just happier, but more adaptable, more expansive, more free.
That's exactly what we're going to dive into today. We want to explore how leaning into uncertainty, really embracing it, isn't just about coping. It's not just gritting your teeth. It's actually a vital skill, a transformative one for, getting through modern life.
That's right. We'll be looking at this from a few angles: psychology, wellness ideas, some practical wisdom too. Because, as Tony Robbins put it so well, the quality of your life is in direct proportion to the amount of uncertainty you can comfortably deal with.
That quote really hits it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The quality of life linked to how comfortable we are with not knowing. But, okay, to really get comfortable with it, we first need to understand why it feels so wrong sometimes. Let's unpack that. Why are our brains wired like that? It's not just a modern thing, is it? It's deep history.
It really is deep history. Think about that ancient human needing to know when the seasons would change for food or where the predators might be. Predictability wasn't optional, it was fundamental. And this wiring, which was designed for a much simpler world in some way.
Simpler, yeah. Fewer variables, maybe?
Exactly. It gets completely overloaded by modern life. We're just bombarded constantly.
Right.
Nonstop change, tech leaps, economic shifts, just information overload, unstable world events.
It's a lot.
It is. It's this constant stream of unknowns. And our nervous systems, they basically read it as a continuous threat. We're always sort of on edge.
That feels so true. I was reading about Jennifer Chrisman. She described herself as a perfectionist and a lot of a control freak. Sound familiar to anyone? Anyway, she hit this big crossroads in her career, but it was more than that. She was also feeling that bittersweet thing with her kids growing up, that impermanence.
Well, yeah, that hits hard.
Right. And she suddenly saw herself just sitting in uncertainty, so many unknowns everywhere. And her first reaction? To obsess, to mentally wrestle with every single possibility, trying to force an answer, that desperate need for control.
Well, I think many of us recognize that impulse, that need to figure it all out, impose some kind of order when things feel chaotic. Actually reminds me of something a Reddit user shared, thinking about Eckhart Tolle's ideas. This person admitted they used to pride themselves in always knowing everything about their job, life, home, opinions, you name it.
Wow, that sounds exhausting.
It was. They realized it wasn't empowering at all. It just created massive stress and a feeling of superiority and righteousness that is false and limiting.
A great burden, they called it. That really resonates. Needing to know everything is a burden. But then they had this breakthrough, this aha moment, just accepting, I do not need to know all of this. I can just be. Can you imagine the relief? Like a huge weight just lifted, letting go of needing to be omniscient.
It's powerful. And what's happening underneath, biologically, is really key here. See, this resistance to uncertainty, it triggers stress hormones, anxiety, that primal fear response. And that often leads to just freezing up, right? Paralysis, indecision, getting stuck in a negative loop.
Yeah.
Our brain's amygdala, that little almond-shaped bit, it's our internal alarm system. It goes into overdrive with uncertainty. It sees unknown and flags it as threat. So it's not just a vague feeling of fear. It's a biological push to eliminate the unknown, find clarity, any clarity, even if it's forced.
Which explains that urge to control things we absolutely can't control. Like Jennifer Chrisman said, that noise in my head, that constant chatter trying to predict and manage everything, it just drowns out my intuition.
Exactly. That internal noise is relentless. It tries to map out every possibility, control every variable.
And your own inner knowing, your gut feeling, it just gets lost in the static. It's a battle, isn't it? So, okay, if our brains are built to run away from uncertainty, how can it possibly be, as our sources suggest, a potent catalyst for innovative solutions? That feels like a big paradox.
It does feel like one, doesn't it? And that's where the really interesting insight comes in. Yes, that initial discomfort is real, it's protective. But what happens after that initial jolt? That's where the growth happens. Psychologically, when you start to embrace the unknown, you're not just coping. You're actually starting to rewire things. Your brain has to build new pathways instead of just running on the old familiar tracks. And that leads to more cognitive flexibility.
Cognitive flexibility. So, like being able to shift your thinking more easily, adapt.
Precisely. You can pivot, consider different options, instead of just grabbing the first familiar one. That discomfort, it actually primes your mind for heightened creativity because you have to look beyond the usual answers. You're forced to invent. And crucially, it builds resilience. Your capacity for resilience grows because you're constantly practicing adaptation. You become less brittle when life throws you curveballs, which it always does.
So our brains actually benefit from being stretched like that. That really changes how you think about not knowing. It's not just something to endure.
Absolutely. And from a neuroscience perspective, it's pretty cool too. When we face ambiguity, our prefrontal cortex, that's the brain's CEO, basically handling, planning, decisions, complex thought, gets highly active. It's busy weighing options, evaluating new stuff, trying to predict outcomes in a situation that's, fluid.
Okay.
And here's the really interesting part. When we successfully navigate that ambiguity, when we push through that discomfort and find a path forward, our brain's reward system releases dopamine.
Dopamine, like a good job signal.
Exactly. It's not just about feeling good, though that's part of it. It actually reinforces the behavior. It tells your brain, hey, pushing through that discomfort, it paid off. Let's be open to that again. There's a reward. It basically encourages more exploration and, sensible risk-taking in the future. It creates this positive cycle.
Wow, a built-in reward for dealing with the unknown. That connects so well to this other idea that came up. The one about the furthest distance in the universe is from the head to the heart, but it is in stillness that we find this path. It suggests that when we let go of needing to know everything right now, when we quiet that mental noise.
And that stillness.
Yeah, that quiet allows us to actually connect with our own intuition. It gives us clearer direction from within our own hearts. It feels like a huge shift, doesn't it? From always seeking answers out there to trusting this inner knowing.
It's a fundamental shift. Recognizing that wisdom isn't just intellectual horsepower. Our intuition, that quieter voice, it often gets completely drowned out by the mental chatter, that drive to control. So when we deliberately quiet the mind, maybe through meditation, maybe just by sitting with discomfort without judging it, that intuition gets a chance to surface. It's less about finding the definitive answer externally and more about tapping into a deeper, maybe more authentic direction from within. That's where peace starts to bloom, even when things are uncertain.
Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but practically speaking, in our day-to-day lives, how do we actually do this? How do we move from understanding it to actually, cultivating that comfort?
Right, the how. Well, it really has to start with a mindset shift, a conscious choice. You need to embrace what psychologists call a growth mindset.
Growth mindset, seeing challenges as opportunities.
Exactly. Viewing challenges, setbacks, even outright failures, not as dead ends, but as rich opportunities to learn and grow. It means actively choosing curiosity over fear and perseverance over giving up.
I like that distinction. Curiosity over fear.
Think about Lisa Leong, the radio broadcaster we mentioned. She has this great beginner's mind strategy. Every 6 months, she deliberately picks something she knows absolutely nothing about. Flemish, fencing, African drumming.
Wow, diverse choices.
Right. And she says the point isn't to get good at it. The point is to learn how to let go and be okay at being really, really crappy. There's something so freeing about putting yourself in a place where perfection isn't even remotely possible.
Really, really crappy. I love that. It just takes all the pressure off. Because if you're a total beginner, you automatically drop that expectation of nailing it right away. And failure just becomes part of learning. Like Lisa Leong said, when the experiment fails, you don't fail. The experiment fails. It's a learning process.
Precisely. It removes that heavy emotional weight, that personal sting of failure. It lets you just observe and question. She even calls every day her lab day. It's about experimenting, not just performing perfectly.
That's a great frame. Lab day.
And then you have organizational psychologist Adam Grant, who suggests something really interesting. Actually set failure goals.
Failure goals. So aim to fail.
Not exactly fail on purpose, but to intentionally define an acceptable zone of failure.
Yeah.
His point is, this can actually motivate some risk-taking and experimentation, which leads to growth. If you're hitting 100% success on everything you try, you're probably playing it too safe. You're likely aiming too low and missing out on real learning and innovation. It's about getting comfortable with the stumbles that come from pushing yourself.
Okay, so mindset is key. But what about actual things we can do? Actionable behaviors.
Right. Beyond the mindset shift, there are concrete actions. First, and this is so important when things feel chaotic, focus on what you genuinely can control. It sounds simple, maybe too simple, but it's powerful. When uncertainty hits, our minds naturally drift to the big uncontrollable stuff, the news, the economy, what other people are doing.
It definitely happens to me.
So consciously pull your energy back. Focus on your immediate sphere, your daily routines, how much news you consume, your health habits, managing your time, even just how you react emotionally in the moment. Putting energy there creates a sense of stability, sure, but more than that, it reclaims your sense of agency. It stops you feeling helpless.
Okay, focus on the controllable. What's next?
Second, build and actually use a strong support network. That old phrase, one mind is never enough. It's so true when you're facing unknowns. Don't feel pressure to figure everything out alone. Asking for help isn't weakness, it's smart strategy.
Yeah, sometimes asking feels like admitting defeat, though.
I know, but it really isn't. It brings in diverse perspectives, solutions you might never have seen. It strengthens relationships, and honestly, it can often make you look smart because it shows confidence, trust, openness, things people respect.
Good point. Okay, number 3.
Third, practice mindfulness and self-care. And this isn't just bubble baths, though those are nice too. It's about building mental resilience. Things like meditation, deep breathing, or even just pausing to really notice your surroundings. These practices help cultivate present moment awareness and a kind of non-judgmental acceptance of difficult thoughts or feelings.
So, noticing the anxiety about the unknown, but not getting swept away by it.
Exactly. You acknowledge it, observe it, without desperately trying to fix it or push it away. It helps you build our resilience muscles by letting discomfort pass through, which creates space for curiosity instead of panic.
Makes sense. Build resilience. And number 4.
Fourth, challenge your own assumptions. Actively seek out different viewpoints. This is your defense against groupthink. That tendency, especially when things are uncertain, to just go along with the crowd without really thinking critically.
Oh yeah, groupthink is dangerous.
Very. So when you're facing a tricky decision or an unclear path, make it a habit. Ask yourself one more question. Invite one more thought. Listen to one more voice. And specifically, listen to voices that disagree with you. It's not about flip-flopping. It's about stress testing your own thinking, broadening your perspective before you commit. The best ideas often emerge from that friction.
Ask one more question, invite one more thought, listen to one more voice. I like that. Okay, and the final strategy.
The final one, maybe the cornerstone of it all, accept and let go. And this isn't passive resignation, like just giving up. It's an active choice. Uncertainty isn't a mistake or a problem to be solved. It is just a natural part of life, period. It means consciously releasing that need for perfection or complete control over things you simply can't control. It is genuinely okay not to have all the answers.
It sounds so simple, but it feels profound. It's okay not to know.
When you truly embrace that acceptance, that relentless internal noise we talked about, it starts to quiet down. You create this internal space open, quiet, where intuition can actually speak, where new possibilities can emerge, where unexpected solutions can show up. It's really an act of trusting yourself.
And we actually see this philosophy playing out in the real world, right? In big, successful organizations.
Absolutely. It's fascinating to see how leading companies haven't just coped with ambiguity, they've actually used it to innovate and thrive. They didn't just manage the unknown, they leveraged it.
Like Warby Parker. Selling glasses online seemed crazy at first.
Totally. Huge uncertainty, tons of skepticism. But they didn't back down. They embraced it. They tackled the consumer doubt head-on with their innovative home try-on program. They jumped into that ambiguous digital space and met people where they were, changed the whole industry.
And Zappos with shoes. Similar story, right? Who buys shoes online?
Exactly. Conventional wisdom said it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But they embraced this ambiguity by going all in on amazing customer service, free shipping, free returns, removing the risk. That focus, despite the uncertainty, turned them into a giant.
Then there's Spanx. Sarah Blakely started with just an ambiguous goal, a better undergarment, no clear plan.
Right, she didn't have a blueprint. That very ambiguity pushed her to just experiment. trying different fabrics, designs, iterating constantly outside the usual paths. Her willingness to explore that unknown, to try and fail and try again, built a billion-dollar brand from a really uncertain starting point.
In Patagonia, too, with sustainability, that must have felt incredibly ambiguous at the start, balancing profit and planet.
Hugely ambiguous. Many people said those goals were fundamentally opposed, that it couldn't be done. But by navigating that tension, that uncertainty, with integrity and innovation, they built this incredibly loyal following and became this iconic, purpose-driven brand. These companies really show that uncertainty isn't just survivable, it can be a powerful engine for creativity and massive success.
And it's not just the big boss making risky calls, is it? It's about empowering everyone. Like that French energy company, Engie, giving an award for the best failed ideas.
Yeah. Or IKEA with their Go Bananas cards. Giving employees explicit permission, pre-approved license to try things, make intelligent failures, and learn from them.
Intelligent failures. I like that framing.
These kinds of approaches show how acknowledging risk, even celebrating the learning from things that don't pan out perfectly, builds a real culture of curiosity. And that culture is absolutely vital for discovery. When people aren't terrified of stumbling, they unlock so much more potential for innovation, for finding those unexpected breakthroughs. It's about valuing the effort and the learning, not just the flawless win.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together as we wrap up this deep dive. The main takeaway seems to be dealing with uncertainty isn't about trying to eliminate it. That's impossible and, frankly, exhausting. It's really about changing your response to it.
Exactly. It's about getting to a place deep down where you understand that not knowing exactly what will happen next in our lives is okay. More than okay, actually. It can be freeing.
So by consciously choosing that growth mindset, by focusing our energy on what we can control,
Yes.
building those support networks, practicing mindfulness to stay calm,
Right.
and maybe most importantly, accepting that uncertainty is just part of life's flow.
That acceptance is key.
We empower ourselves. We develop this ability to handle life's ups and downs, not just with gritted teeth, but with more confidence, more ease, maybe even more grace.
It really transforms that fear into fuel, fuel for growth, fuel for finding new ways forward.
Okay, that's our deep dive for today. A lot to think about there. And as you go about your week, maybe here's a final thought to chew on, something to experiment with yourself. What is one specific area in your life right now where you could intentionally, just deliberately let go of that intense need to know everything, to control the outcome, and instead maybe just choose curiosity? Choose to trust the process and trust yourself that you'll find a way through.